Hi everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Tidal Blades Heroes of the Reef Part 1.
Ooh, part 1.
Yeah, it's Part 1. You see it?
That means there's going to be sequels.
Yeah, that's usually what it means when it says Part 1.
Which is awesome because this game has a great narrative. And basically what's going on in this game is a long time ago in this land there was just monsters attacking all the time, right? And they were just devastating this population, so they fought back. And they were able to kind of block all these animals out to the fold. And there's been these years of peace. But now they're starting to be able to break through, and it's up to us to fight them off. So what they're doing is they're making this kind of this tournament to see who's going to be the next generation of guardians against these monsters. And so as you're going on, you're going to be completing all these different events in the tournament. Eventually, you're going to start fighting some monsters as well. You're going to be rolling these dice to get these different stats. It's just laid out over all these different island boards all over the table. It's huge, it's expansive, and it's beautiful. Let me kind of show you how it looks all spread out. All right, here is the main board for Tidal Blades. Basically, there's all these different islands that all represent different sections of the board. All these little spots over here, all these circles, those are where you can do your actions. You get whatever you land on. In this case, we're going to get a couple shells. However, there's also an island bonus itself. So, for instance, right here for the Droska ring, it says you can buy a card from the market or gain a fruit. So you could gain a fruit in addition to gaining those shields if you went there. The cards you can buy are all over here. There are a variety of benefits. You might get some dice, they might get you some stats, they might get you some shells. A whole bunch of different stuff can come from that market deck. Over here at the Lamar Stadium, there's a bunch of different variety of actions that you can do as well. You can even take the first player marker. But also, the advantage that you get for going to that island, this little boat here is going to move. And wherever that lands, that's your island bonus. So that's going to change from round to round. Over here at the Chronoseum, it's probably the main place that you're going to go to get some extra dice. But what you can do there is you can dice, but you can also draw these stunt cards. The stunt cards are just a variety of different actions that you can take, but the strength of how good it is determined by your stats of your player board, which we'll get to that in a little bit. The Citadel of Time is the main place where we're going to go to get more challenges. The challenges are kind of the main thing that you do to raise your stats, and it's also one of the main ways to get a lot of points. All the symbols on these different things have to do with rolling dice symbols. So, for instance, in this one here, we have to roll this little shield symbol here. That's kind of this little mountain triangle symbol. You also have the option of pushing your luck, kind of calling it pushing it, to roll an extra symbol. If you're able to accomplish that last one that's in the dotted lines, you're going to get additional stats on your player board. But no matter what, if you get the first two, you have accomplished that challenge, and you're going to get the victory points at the bottom right, in addition to you accomplish what they call the different fighting styles. The fighting styles are going to help you when you're facing these monsters over here in the fold. Similar to the challenges, what you're trying to do is you are trying to roll these different dice values. So again, this one here says, this Phantom Krill, if you need to try and roll these different symbols on your dice. These ones up here need to be rolled with certain dice. If you are, you're going to get some movement on the champion board, which is the top up here. The champion board is another way to get points. So basically, whenever you get one of those little trophy symbols on a card, or on the board, or it's one of your actions, you're going to move up on the challenge board. At the end of each round, points are going to be handed out based off how far you are along the champion board, but also at the end of the game, you're going to get some points as well, and points based off how far along you are. There are 4 rounds in the game. During the first round, you only have 2 action markers to work with, and you're going to be using this kind of easy dice, these easy challenge dice. But as the game goes on, you're going to get more actions, which is great. However, the dice that you're going to use is going to get harder and harder as well. Those dice basically cancel out some of the other dice that you've been rolling. You can block some of those penalties that the dice give you by using shells. That's all on your player board in your personal area. And now let me show you what that part of the game looks like. Alright, here is your individual playing board for the game. Every character has their own card that kind of tells their plot of their backstory as well as the things they're good at in this game. You also get some starting challenges. Those are going to be similar to what you have out in the middle board there, that Citadel of Time. However, they're a little bit easier to kind of get you started and kind of raise your stats a little bit at the beginning of the game. Everyone also has a shell shield. This is going to be kind of how you block those D8s from attacking you when you're fighting off monsters and doing challenges, that kind of thing. You also have a whole deck here of character cards. Each one of those cards in that deck kind of spices up your character, makes them even better at certain categories. Every character also has 3 of these kind of goals that they're trying to accomplish throughout the game. You shuffle them up and you take one of them. There's a recommended starting one to go with, but that's just out in front of you. It might say something like, if you complete, resilience challenges. If you get 4 of them, you're going to get 7 points. If you get, 5 of them, you're going to get 10 points by the end of the game. So give you something to shoot for as you're going through these different challenges. And speaking of challenges, that's the main way you're going to raise your different stats. So for instance, let's start with Spirit. Spirit, when you raise that, it says stunt power. So right now, when you get one of those stunt cards, it's going to say something like, take as many shields as you have stunt power. So right now, our stunt power is 1, so we don't get one of those shells. But if we were to move up that stat, all of a sudden, boom, now we're at 2. There's also victory points along that track as well. So every time you cross one of those blue hexes, you now have some victory points. Focus is a really important stat. This tells you how many dice you can roll while you're doing those challenges and when you're going through and fighting the monsters. You can only roll 1 dice to start with, but you can, again, the more you raise that stat, the more dice you can roll. And always you can eat some fruit to even roll even more dice. After you've accomplished some of those challenges, you can slide them underneath your deck there, or underneath your board. And now that says we have an extra one of those different symbols. That's a fighting style. So if we ever fight a monster with that same fighting style, we're going to get additional dice. And the more we have, the better dice we can use. Which is probably a good segue into talking about the dice. So these are the starting dice. These are the white ones. They're really, really plain. They just do a little bit of everything. But if you're targeting certain symbols, you want to kind of specialize your dice a little bit. You can go off to this direction, in which case it narrows it down to these kind of the eye symbol as well as that kind of swirly symbol. Then they get even better over here. This is the same thing, but there's more of them and get some variety. Over here, it gets even more so. This one only has the eye symbol, but there's 2 of them on some of the heads. This one only has that swirly side. And same thing over here on the blue side of things. It's the exact same thing, but for those 2 symbols. This one has that kind of that triangle symbol and that shield symbol. They get better and better and more specialized as it goes across. Upgrading those dice is one of my favorite things to do, which leads me back to the board. Resilience is one of the best ways to upgrade your dice. At the end of each round, you're going to get a chance to refresh your dice, kind of bring them from spent over to active, and you can upgrade them based off of what level you are. So we only start off with 1. You can only, refresh one of your dice, and you can only upgrade one of your dice. But the more you do that, the more you go up with that, you can refresh and upgrade more and more dice and get some victory points as well. The last category is synergy, and that has to do with your character cards. It's really nice to get a whole bunch of those out there. They kind of give you a direction to go. They give you something to go for, something you're good at. It gives you discounts on various actions, extra benefits when you take certain actions or go to certain locations. It really kind of plays into the theme and the background of the game of that individual character. It goes back to that play style, and it really hones that in. The last thing here is the shell shield. That you're going to fill up with shells as you're kind of blocking those D6s from attacking you. But there's also, you can spend shells off of that, put them back into the supply to do certain abilities. For instance, it says, spend 4 shells from the shield to set a die to any face. So that can be really helpful when you're trying to accomplish one of those challenges. Some characters even have upgrades to the shell shield in their character deck, so that's really fun to see. I know I went through a lot of that really fast, and there's still more things I didn't cover, but let's go back and talk about what we thought about the game.
All right, guys, the layout of this is fantastic. I love what it looks like when it's all laid out, all the different pieces. And to me, it makes sense that there's all those different pieces because these are islands. So, of course, they would be on different parts of it because they're islands. So, for me, I really liked that choice to do that, not have one massive board, but to have all these other boards going on. And I just loved what it looked like when it was all laid out.
I think part of that, too, was the color palette. They really did a good job of the coral colors and the sand colors and the different various colors of the ocean. Everything was just so evocative of that island, that coastal life, and this world they've built. Those colors really popped off.
And I really enjoyed the graphic design choices in this. So I like the artwork in it. It was really beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. But they did a great job where the art didn't distract at all. It drove you closer into the theme of the game, but it didn't distract you from any of the text that you needed to read. It draws you in, and I just thought it was really good graphic design choices.
And that's kind of the theme that we've noticed through all the games we played from both Skybound and from Druid City is just fantastic productions, phenomenal artwork and great, productions on the table.
Yeah.
But that begs the question, is this game just a product of the production and the artwork? Is this game, is able to, transcend that? Well, I say to you, yes. This this game is actually really fun too. Not only does it look great, it plays great too. It takes this new kind of take on worker placement games where, first of all, you get so few actions in this game, right? Each one of them matters. So when you take an action, you get 2 actions. You get the regional bonus, the island bonus, plus the individual action spot as well. And that's really cool. You can really plan out your turns to make the most of them because there's so few of them.
Yeah, and I really like how you have to strategically do challenges where the judges you don't always have to, but you get to go up on that champion board, and points are so hard to come by that you really need to, take advantage of that. But sometimes where the judges, you don't need any of those actions, and you can complete a challenge that you have, but it's not where the judge is, but you need to do it anyway. Or sometimes you'll just need to go there because you need to go up so you can get that point because you just need it more than the other person. They all need it equally. Anyway, I just really liked the choices that you had with when you were going to complete the challenges and how you could only complete a challenge based on the different islands.
My favorite part of this game, my absolute favorite part, and there's a lot to like, was the upgraded dice.
Oh, yeah.
So you start with these really bland dice that have just one symbol and it's all kind of randomized. And then you kind of upgrade and put it in a certain direction. You kind of choose the 2 red ones or the 2 blue ones. And then from there it kind of upgrades again. And then it specializes even more into being just really good at one of the 4 symbols. But then there's also that challenge of if I fight a monster, I'm able to get a lot of points and, prevent bad things from happening to me. But then I lose my really awesome dice that I've just spent all this time trying to get.
Yeah.
And I just love that tension.
And you need that for the squares.
Right.
You have to, yeah.
So I really love that tension and that the decision making of working that up, building this really cool dice. But then is it worth it to spend it for challenges, which you should really do that a lot too. But also you need to fight these monsters, and then ultimately you might lose your dice. Or you will lose your dice.
So I did have one worry about this game. And
do tell.
I was thinking about it a lot. When I should have been doing other things. I was thinking about...
Yeah, it's making you less effective in other places of your life.
I'm less productive in other things. It's true. You can ask Ryan. He would be sitting there and asking me what I was thinking about. And this is a true story, guys. And I said Tidal Blades. I'm thinking about Tidal Blades and how it's disrupting my sleep because we stayed up really late because I wanted to play another round of it. And I think what's so evocative of this game is the world that it's in. You could easily have put this on a medieval fantasy type of thing. You could have a similar thing going on, but the fact that it's this draws you into it. When I was playing certain characters, I wanted them to do well, and I felt like I had a responsibility to play well for these characters so they could be the hero. And I thought about it a lot. It's really silly, but yes.
It's because it's, it brings you in. It's addictive because it is so much fun, but then the world is so cool too.
Yeah.
And that's in this new direction that, games have gone in the past 5-10 years. And this does it, a prime example of it. Great gameplay with these fun stories and these fun backgrounds. I also will say that the 2-player of this played really, really well.
Yes.
It says there's a solo mode. I have not yet attempted that. So if you've played it, be sure to let us know in the comments what you thought about the solo mode. Or if you ever get around to that. The 4-player game, I'm a little concerned about the wait time between players' turns, So this is one I would recommend not playing with people who are prone to analysis paralysis. Because you might be... might be a little while. It might be 10 minutes before it gets back to your turn, that kind of a thing. But man, this game is just so much fun. We've talked about it a lot already, but 2 thumbs up from us.
Well, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to find us in all the places. You can subscribe to us on YouTube under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can find us on Facebook under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can also find us on Instagram under Ryan and Bethany, and you can find us on Twitter under Ryan and Bethany 1.
Everybody, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.